Thank you for turning to 10, your news leader. 10 News Conference with Gene Valicenti continues right now.
Welcome back. Joining me now is New Bedford Mayor Jon Mitchell. Mayor Mitchell, I think you were in with us in January, so 10 months has gone by. We can do a nice assessment now.
I think it's been longer than that. Feels like it.
Well,
time flies, Gene.
I know you gave your State of the City address. We were just looking at a bit of that, but a lot has happened since that State of the City address, including Donald Trump trying to pull the plug.
I noticed that we have a new president. Yes,
that's true.
Then. Offshore wind obviously has been a big deal for New Bedford. Right. It's long been a diversification play for us. We have the biggest fishing port in the United States, and that's the mainstay of our maritime economy. Okay. But we've long thought that offshore wind could pay off for New Bedford, and it has been. We've seen a tremendous amount of port construction and dredging over the last 10 years, over $1 billion worth. And the Vineyard Wind project is producing a lot of jobs and a lot of hotel stays and restaurant visits and all that. And so, what's happened at the federal level most certainly concerns us.
What boulevard am I going down? I'm going south. I see those giant turbines on the left stacked up.
So that's JFK Boulevard that runs north-south across the city. Yeah,
bigger than you might imagine.
They're enormous. They're a spectacle of sorts. But look, offshore wind. We think offshore wind in the long run is going to come around. It's just not going to come around during the Trump administration. That industry really can't advance without federal support.
Okay, so this is interesting now. So you're kind of accepting of a pause in the action because the president is trying to pull the plug altogether. He says they're a scam. It's too expensive. It harms the marine life. A whole host of things. He did try to pull the plug. I know that Connecticut and Rhode Island went to court for Revolution Wind. Right. They got to go back to work order pending more further court action. Your Vineyard Wind. And do you expect a real pause for the next 3.5 years here, and then we'll get back if another president comes in?
Well, as for Vineyard Wind itself, I believe it'll go forward, but I don't know where the president's line is. What's different about Vineyard Wind is that it actually is powered up. I think at last count there are 17 turbines that are actually producing energy to the grid. So it's an operating power plant in the middle of the ocean. So that's a different kind of a proposition in terms of shutting things down. But in the long run, it's hard for me to imagine that many other projects that aren't actually under construction right now are going to advance during the Trump administration. So, from our standpoint, we continue to build out infrastructure. We continue to network and prepare with the industry and to build out the workforce so that we remain in the pole position when this industry comes back on. I happen to believe that, especially with the proliferation of AI data centers, that the energy demands in America are going to require us to build whatever we can that produces energy, and that includes offshore wind.
So those turbines that I see in your city, are they staying put or they're going to go?
No, they're going out to sea.
They're going out.
Yeah.
That's Vineyard Wind?
That's Vineyard Wind,
okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Here in Connecticut, Rhode Island, it's Revolution Wind. In fact, that's 80% complete. And the district court judge told them go back and finish it while we still fight this in court.
Yeah, so look, the Revolution Wind project is a little more visible from not only Rhode Island, but also Horseneck Beach and Westport, Mass. You can see it being built out there. It's not generating electricity yet. That's why I think that may have been a lower hanging fruit for the Trump administration. But that's moving forward, and there are a number of businesses in New Bedford that are supporting that project as well. So it's not just a Connecticut and Rhode Island thing. It is primarily, but there are a number of other ports involved in it. But look, in the long run, offshore wind, we think that offshore wind will produce jobs all across southern New England because we've seen it happen in Europe. It's a mature industry in northern Europe. I happen to think that it is not a scam. I happen to think that America needs a vast portfolio of energy sources, as especially in an age of AI.
Well, it's interesting. Your perspective is interesting. I hadn't heard that from another politician. That, look, 3.5 years could be a little bumpy here.
See, this is why you need to have me on.
This is why
more.
I should have you more often. Everybody, we're going to fight it. Then you said 3.5 years could be a little bumpy. The wind may not be blowing. The president says it's a scam. It's too expensive. Even the man who runs Rhode Island Energy, the electric company, said they only work half the time. And he said, look, I get my energy from a variety of places, nuclear, gas, all over. If it works, great. You're telling me I have to buy it from the wind guys, but that's what he said, only works half the time. And it's expensive, and the president says it harms the marine life. So go ahead, take it.
Yeah, so there isn't really much in the way of evidence of threats to marine life. A lot of
can I just interrupt?
Yeah.
We have a fishing community in Rhode Island, very vocal. Against this, and they cite the whales and fishing. Now, you are like the fisherman mayor over there. Somehow I haven't heard the same kind of pushback against you that I have with these Rhode Island fishermen against this.
Yeah. So on the issue of conflict with the fishing industry, what I'd say is this: it's a big ocean, and if offshore wind farms are properly sited, both industries should be able to coexist successfully side by side. I think there have been some poor decisions made by the federal government, including by the Biden administration, about where to put wind farms. There were projects that were slated for the New York Bight and for the Mid-Atlantic, for instance. They're smack dab in the middle of very rich scallop grounds. Most of those scallops go to New Bedford. We've been very vocal about in opposition to wind farms there. But in the long run, there are places where there isn't a whole lot of fishing likely to occur, and there aren't fish habitats, and those are places, frankly, that offshore windmills can go. And I know that, look, these days it doesn't poll well, offshore wind. People don't like the side of it, and they're hearing the national rhetoric about this. But what I'd say is this: it's good for my city, from our very parochial perspective. It's going to create jobs, and America's going to need that energy in the long run.
You're a believer, and you're a believer. But am I correct? Because there's a lot of opposition among the fishing community down in Point Judith.
There's a lot of opposition in the Bedford.
What about in your city?
Oh, very much so.
Yeah.
No, you're not going to see too many Biden bumper stickers on the Bedford waterfront. Although there are some, but look, what I've said, I've been a steadfast supporter of the fishing industry, as much, frankly, as any elected official anywhere, and they know that. What I've tried to say to them is, look. Offshore wind's good for New Bedford. It's going to generate investment, and that's, from my perspective, that's what I got to look out for. But, I've long known that by placing myself between these two industries, I've located, myself in the loneliest place in American politics, which is right in the middle.
ICE and ICE raids and ICE action in Massachusetts, very controversial. As you and I speak, there's a gathering going on in the Midwest where people are protesting ICE at a detention center, and the local police are cooperating, at least, in keeping the crowds away from the ICE. The ICE guys doing their job. Are you okay with that? Well, having your local police department at least crowd control, block the street off, let ICE do what they want to. You don't have to go grab the guys ICE is looking for. But would you send your police to cooperate?
Well, we'd send our police to keep the peace so nobody gets hurt. Neither agents nor the immigrants they're arresting or anybody else gets hurt. Our local police departments have to do that. We did not declare ourselves to be a sanctuary city, although that term is not defined in the federal code. It's generally understood to mean that if you're a sanctuary city, you don't share information with ICE. I don't think that's a good idea. As a federal prosecutor, I believe that there shouldn't be barriers between law enforcement agencies and the sharing of information, because I think ultimately that diminishes public safety. But our police department is not involved in executing immigration warrants or otherwise enforcing immigration law. That's the job of the federal government.
I've heard that from many mayors, but some mayors, they won't even send their police to help but keep crowd control. We want nothing to do with it. And listen, maybe these are different cities than yours, but you're okay with sending the police to at least keep the peace.
Our police department should keep the peace and keep people safe, regardless of whether ICE is involved in the scrum or others. It doesn't matter if it's the FBI or anybody else who's lawfully in our city. The police are there to make sure people don't get hurt.
And you're not a sanctuary city.
We are not, and that's not. And look, we are certainly a very welcoming city. We have a large immigrant and diverse immigrant population in our city, and the immigrants in our city contribute to the success of the city in many ways. But no, we have not put up barriers to sharing information between law enforcement agencies.
What do you think of what's going on with your party in the government shutdown? You and I are taping on a Friday. This is day 3, and they're arguing over uncompensated care. The Republicans saying the Democrats want to return Medicare and Medicaid for illegal immigrants, and the Democrats say they don't get that. It appears to be narrowed down to the fight over when an illegal shows up at a hospital. The government money does cover that, so we're fighting over how much the government would send to cover that uncompensated care. Is this the issue to be fighting for? It's day 3 of the government shutdown, and Trump is calling it the Schumer shutdown.
Well, look, when we have these debates about government shutdowns, especially after the government shuts down, there's a whole lot of finger pointing in both ways. I think the Democrats are standing up for something they believe in, and frankly, I believe in, which is to ensure that people can afford to get the care they need. If you look at the bill, there isn't anything that says, well, we're extending care to illegal immigrants. But that is what the president is trying to make it about, but it's actually not in there.
All right. And it's just the fight to pick, though. Do you agree with anything the president is doing on the immigration front?
Well, I agree.
He's tightened up the border. He's doing a lot. Is there anything that you could give him at least credit for that?
Yeah, I'd say yeah. I think so. He's done a lot more than just the things that I think are necessary. I think it's necessary for the government to be deporting convicted criminals. Yeah, I'm all for that. If we have convicted criminals on the street in Bedford who are subject to deportation, they should go. I also happen to think that we should have a secure border. That kind of goes without saying. I take issue with roundups of people who are just working really hard, wringing a few pennies out of hard jobs and sending them back to their home countries. And I think a lot of that's being done for show. The reality is that our country needs immigration reform in the worst way. One that allows for a secure border, allows for clearer rules around asylum, allows for people who've been here for decades to have an expedited path to citizenship. These are all common sense things, and it's not happening right now.
We have about 2 minutes, so it's a hard out. 2 minutes. Locally, you like your police chief, the council feels otherwise. Any resolution to that getting together?
No, I think everybody loves the police chief. Our new police chief, Jason Doty, who was the former chief in Hartford.
What's the issue then?
The issue is the city council thinks the code requires the council to confirm the police chief before he can take the job. For the last 20 years, the mayors of New Bedford have taken the position that no, it's not subject to confirmation. The thing that's curious is that the city council hasn't called for a vote. They could call for a vote and vote it up or down, and we might disagree about the implications of that vote. But they haven't even done that. They just went straight to court with it. And so we'll take it up in court. Just
about a minute left. It's curious. You wanted to talk about Hasbro leaving Rhode Island because you have Hasbro workers by you.
Well, we do.
Are you not happy with things going up to Boston?
No, I know there's a lot of celebrating in Boston about Hasbro's departure. I do see it differently. From two perspectives. From New Bedford's perspective, there are some people in the New Bedford area who work at Hasbro, and by moving Hasbro farther afield from New Bedford significantly, it makes it less likely that there will be people in Greater New Bedford continuing to remain on jobs at Hasbro. But there's a bigger point here, and that is something that we struggle with, and even Providence to an extent, which is that the superstar cities in America are taking the spoils of the American economy, and I think people have to understand that it goes for a long way to explain the cultural and political gulf in this country. There are some places that are haves, and there are places that are have-nots, and they really have to hustle for what they have. And so the Hasbro decision really is, I think, shines a light on that.
Well, you gave me two things to think about: your position on offshore wind and Hasbro and other companies moving up to Boston. We will have you in again, the Bedford Mayor Jon Mitchell. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks.
All right, that's 10 News Conference, your #1 longest running political show in Southern New England. Have a great rest of your week. I'll see you on the radio and on the news at 6.